Hey, 7th grade. This is your language lesson for Monday, April 20th. Lesson 6 is due on Monday, April 20th. If you are not yet done with lesson 6, then you have no business watching this video, lesson 7th grade. So stop the video, get lesson 6 done, and then you can watch this video. All right, we will grade some of lesson 6. What we are going to do this week is I'm going to randomly pick things from each lesson to keep track of and to grade. I will tell you now, I want you to keep track of this number, and we're going to have that, keep track of that for the end of the week, okay? So please pay attention to that as we go, and I will remind you. Lesson 7, which is due on Tuesday, April the 21st, is adverb clauses, a review of adverb clauses. Adverb clauses are introduced by coordinating conjunctions. Remember one thing, a clause must have a subject and a verb. All right, if it does not have a subject and a verb, then it is a prepositional phrase. There was one or so like that on your test. You had after something, and it was a prepositional phrase, not a clause. Make sure a clause has a subject and a verb before you call it a clause. But adverb clauses are introduced by subordinating conjunctions, which you have on your reference sheet, and they modify the verb. Okay, so the first part of lesson 7, you're putting brackets around the adverb clause and putting an arrow to the verb that it modifies. So number 2, page 21, lesson 7. We should visit Sister Lois while we are in town. You would put brackets around while we are in town with an arrow to visit. We should visit. When? While we are in town. Okay? Those get diagrammed. The dependent clause, the clause is diagrammed underneath the main thought. And on the dotted line connecting the two, that's where your subordinating conjunction goes. So remember that for adverb clauses. Make sure lesson 7 is finished for Tuesday. That's all we're going to say about lesson 7. Except that probably we will, maybe grade a diagram and keep track. So do the diagrams carefully. All right. Look at lesson 6. And let's grade some of this. Here are the diagrams. I would like you to keep track of the number wrong on the diagram. We will also grade the spelling in this lesson. All right, we're going to grade the spelling, as in we want to keep track of that grade because at the end of the week I'm going to want it. So on your top of your spelling, put the number wrong that you get on number 9 plus the number wrong you get on spelling. So number 9 and the spelling part of lesson 6 will go on the report card. So keep track of that amount wrong and put it on the top part of your first spelling page. So grade number 9 carefully. And I'll remind you of everything that you need to have for Friday. Australia was claimed is the verb. 2 prepositional phrases. For Britain by James Cook. The dependent clause, the adjective clause, who was explorer? Who was explorer? Predicate nominative, a British. I need you to do this right. The dotted line goes from James Cook to the subject. The word that is being modified is talking about James Cook, who was an explorer, from this object of the preposition to the subject. The dotted line has to go. Not to the verb, not to the predicate nominative. From the word that is modified to the subject is the dotted line. The relative pronoun is usually the subject. The relative pronoun does not go on the dotted line like the subordinating conjunctions do. All right, so carefully grade that one and record your number wrong and put the number wrong with however many you get wrong on spelling. All right? And then just for fun, grade number 11. You do not have to keep track of these, but mark them wrong or correct it or something. This is number 11. This GBR is Great Barrier Reef. That's the name of one thing, so that's the subject. Great Barrier Reef. You don't have adjectives, great and barrier, and then reef. It's the name of one thing, so that's the subject. The Great Barrier Reef is located, prepositional phrase, along coast, Australia's northeast. Again, this is an adjective. This one does not go up here, okay? Northeast Australia's coast. And then you have the dependent clause talking about the Great Barrier Reef. So you have your dotted line down to which is chain of, a chain of coral reefs. So that is number 9 and number 11. Number 9 is what's going to be graded, so make sure you have it done well. All right, let's look a little bit at the first part of the lesson. Make sure you did it right. Make corrections. If you didn't do it right, please make corrections so that you know how it's done, all right? But these number wrong do not have to be kept track of, recorded. Only number 9, I need that grade. Number 1, the relative pronouns, who, which, and that, okay? Adjective phrases are adjective clauses. I apologize. Adjective clauses are introduced by who, which, and that, all right? And they modify the word. That clause will modify the word that comes right before the relative pronoun. So, number 3, the first European to visit Australia was James Cook, who claimed the East Coast for Britain. So the dependent clause in brackets would be who claimed the East Coast for Britain, with an arrow to Cook. Number 5, The Road to Coleraine was written by Jill Kerr Conway, who grew up in Australia, brackets around who grew up in Australia, with an arrow to Conway. Number 7, kangaroos, wombats, and koalas, which are marsupials, live in Australia. Bracket around which are marsupials with an arrow to koalas. Actually, would be an arrow to all of them. Either one. Arrow to koalas, arrow to all of them. Is it just saying koalas or marsupials? No, I think they're all marsupials, but either way, I'm good with whichever one you do there. All right. So adjective clauses. Know your adjective clauses. Underline appositive phrases. Circle the appositives. Remember, appositives are nouns that modify, that rename other nouns or pronouns without the help of a linking verb. So they are not predicate nominatives, and they can they can rename any noun or pronoun in the sentence. A direct object can have an appositive, predicate nominative can have an appositive, object with preposition can have a positive, the subject can have an appositive. All right? So number 17, and there's sometimes there's a phrase with the appositive that's describing the appositive itself. It can have an adjective phrase with it. It can have adjectives. Tasmania, number 17. The smallest and only island state of Australia is a popular vacation spot. You should have underlined the smallest and only island state of Australia. That entire thing, the smallest and only island state of Australia. And then circle state. Number 19. Uncle Dale's collie Billy is a good watchdog. Collie Billy is watchdog. There's your diagram. Collie Billy is watchdog. Get out of here. Right. Uncle Dale's. We have a collie named Billy Alexis. Uncle Dale's collie Billy. Billy is the appositive. Renaming collie is a good. So that's what the diagram of number 19 should look like. All right, now we are going to grade the spelling, and I forgot that we were going to do this, and I didn't do the spelling, so let me get the answers quickly. I could probably figure them out pretty fast, but let's find them here so we'll quickly do it. They didn't make it easy for you either. They put all the synonyms together. You have to figure out the specific one for the synonym. 710, lesson 6. Keep track of these, the number wrong that you get on here, along with the number 9 diagram. Better mark that, the number 9 diagram, so I know that I want that grade, right? All right. Number 30 is question. To request information or test knowledge is to question. Ask is to call on for an answer, number 31. 32, cross-examine, to formally and systematically inquire. Number 32 is interrogate. 33 is end. 34, conclude. 35, finish. Okay, you have the spaces, the amount of letters, so you should be able to figure this out. 36, attractive. 37, fair. 38, beautiful. 39, fear. 40, trepidation. And 41 is terror, intense fright. 42, kingly, having to do with the king? Well, it might be kingly, right? 43, royal. 44, regal. 45, help. 46, aid. 47, assist. 48, mount. 49, rise. And 50, ascend. All right? I need the number wrong from the spelling and the number wrong from your diagram on number 9 on the top of this page. All right? All right, I think that is all. Thank you very much, 7th grade.